It all started with a whisper that turned into a storm. The world of 90 Day Fiancé had seen its fair share of drama, cheating scandals, broken engagements, and secret marriages, but nothing could have prepared fans for what was about to happen. Jasmine Pineda announced that she was pregnant, but the father wasn't Gino Palazzolo, it was Matt. Jasmine told Gino clearly, "I will not stay with you. I am carrying Matt's child, and I will only marry Matt." Hearing those words, Gino was completely devastated. He could never have imagined such betrayal. Later, because of these accusations, Gino went to court and filed a lawsuit against Jasmine for breach of trust and financial fraud. He claimed that since Jasmine conceived Matt's child while still married to him, he would legally be considered the father. He also said Jasmine had borrowed $75,000 from him, but when he asked for the money back, she denied ever taking it. In court, Gino's claims were proven true. Evidence and witness testimonies showed that Jasmine had indeed taken the money. The court ruled that Jasmine was guilty of embezzling $75,000 and sentenced her to 4 months in prison. This wasn't just a story about love gone wrong. It was a story about trust, greed, fame, and consequences. It was supposed to be a normal Thursday morning in Panama City. The sun was bright, the air was heavy with humidity, and Jasmine looked radiant in a pastel blue maternity dress while filming a short segment to promote her new beauty line. But as the cameras rolled, Jasmine did something no one expected. She turned toward the camera, took a deep breath, and said, "I'm going to be a mother, but the father is not Gino." There was silence. Everyone froze. Within hours, the clip leaked online. Fans thought it was fake at first, but Jasmine confirmed it herself on Instagram Live that evening. Calm but firm, she said, "I will not stay with Gino. I'm carrying Matt's child, and I will only marry Matt." Gino's world shattered. Friends said that day felt like the moment he stopped breathing. His phone rang nonstop. Producers, friends, and journalists all wanted answers, but he didn't answer anyone. He sat alone in his Michigan apartment, watching the video again and again, hoping it was some cruel prank. It wasn't. By nightfall, social media exploded. Hashtags about Jasmine, Matt, and Gino trended everywhere. YouTubers made reaction videos. Reddit threads went wild. TLC insiders scrambled to understand how everything had fallen apart so quickly. But behind the chaos was a painful truth. Jasmine's announcement wasn't sudden. It had been planned. For weeks, she had been secretly seeing Matt. They first met at an influencer event in Miami and grew close long before the breakup. When Gino found messages between them, he confronted Jasmine privately, but she denied everything. Her confession on camera wasn't just a breakup. It was her way of starting over. But she didn't realize those words would later form the basis of a legal case that would change her life forever. When the news broke, Gino's life fell apart. He had spent years defending Jasmine from criticism and hate, standing by her through every fight. Now he was the one suffering. For days, he didn't leave his apartment. He kept the lights off, the curtains closed, and watched Jasmine's announcement over and over. Each time she said, "I will only marry Matt," it hurt more. Friends tried calling. Producers checked in. His sister came by. But Gino couldn't face anyone. He sat surrounded by photos of their happy moments. Jasmine smiling at the beach, their engagement dinner, their Polaroid in Panama. Now those memories felt fake. People said he became like a ghost. He stopped eating and couldn't work. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was public. The world knew before he did. Within days, paparazzi and reporters camped outside his home. But Gino stayed silent. Privately, he began to look for answers. He went through bank records, messages, and emails. Then he found it, a hotel charge from Miami, a luxury spa payment under Jasmine's name, and multiple transfers totaling $75,000, all during the time they were saving for their wedding. He remembered asking her about those expenses once, and she had laughed it off, saying it was a honeymoon surprise. Now he realized the truth. His close friend Tony said that was the night Gino finally said, "I'm going to sue her." Before that, though, he grieved deeply. At one point, he even called Jasmine's mother in Panama, begging for answers. Her reply was cold. "She has moved on." "You should, too." That's when Gino realized this wasn't just a breakup. It was the end of everything. In the following weeks, he withdrew from everyone. But in silence, he was preparing. Not just with anger, but with evidence. Gino was done being the victim. Soon, the same cameras that captured his heartbreak would capture his revenge. The truth about Jasmine and Matt's affair didn't come out all at once. It was like a puzzle slowly coming together. It started with a few photos of them at a Miami event. At first, fans didn't think much of it. But in those photos, Matt's hand rested gently on Jasmine's back. They were laughing, standing too close. Fans noticed. According to insiders, Jasmine had been invited to a luxury skincare launch in Miami, an event sponsored by a brand that had previously worked with 90 Day Fiancé cast members. Matt Brinies, who had recently become a content ambassador for the same company, was also there. It started out innocent, friendly conversations, shared experiences, late-night industry dinners. But somewhere between the champagne toast and the private afterparty, the lines began to blur. Jasmine later said that Matt was someone who understood her, someone who listened without judgment. She had been struggling in her relationship with Gino, who she described as emotionally distant and overly controlling. Matt, on the other hand, was charming, attentive, and closer to her in both age and lifestyle. By the end of that weekend, they were inseparable. Sources close to the production crew said they were seen leaving the hotel together more than once. One witness claimed to have seen them holding hands by the pool at 2 a.m. When Gino later asked Jasmine about her trip, she laughed it off, saying, "You're overthinking. It's just work." But the messages told a different story. Leaked screenshots, which later became part of the court evidence, showed Jasmine texting Matt late at night. "You make me feel alive again. I wish I could stay in Miami forever with you." Those messages were dated weeks before her breakup announcement. Over time, the affair deepened. Jasmine and Matt started meeting secretly during filming breaks, pretending it was for influencer work or brand meetings. Their chemistry became impossible to hide. One insider said, "They acted like teenagers sneaking around. They thought they were smarter than everyone, but they weren't." It was only a matter of time before someone leaked the truth. When hotel staff in Miami sold security footage to a gossip outlet, everything fell apart. The clips showed Jasmine and Matt entering the same suite hours apart, but leaving together in the morning. The footage went viral within hours. Fans were divided. The internet was cruel. For Gino, the betrayal became undeniable. In public, Jasmine tried to say it was a misunderstanding, but in private, she had already crossed a line that couldn't be undone. And when that line led to a positive pregnancy test weeks later, everything changed. The morning after Jasmine's confession, the internet exploded. Every entertainment site, gossip page, and fan blog had the same headline. 90 Day Fiancé star Jasmine Pineda pregnant. Father not Gino, but Matt. Within hours, hashtags like hashtag Justice for Gino and hashtag Jasmine Exposed trended worldwide. Reddit threads broke down every clip and moment from the past season. TikTok creators flooded the app with reactions and theories. Fans who once loved Jasmine for her honesty now turned on her. "She played Gino like a fool," one comment said. "How could she do this on camera?" Others wrote that even for reality TV, this was too far. Some 90 Day Fiancé cast members defended her, saying love can't be controlled. Others called her cold and calculating. For TLC, it was chaos but also opportunity. Ratings for the next episode skyrocketed. Producers held emergency meetings, debating whether to film a special aftermath episode. But behind the scenes, they were worried. A potential lawsuit loomed, and the show's reputation was at risk. Meanwhile, Jasmine and Matt tried to go public. They posted a single photo together, her head resting on his shoulder, both smiling. The caption said, "Love isn't always perfect, but it's always real." That post got over 1.2 million comments in 24 hours, most of them angry. People accused them of destroying a man's life for fame. Others demanded TLC remove them from the show. Matt, once a quiet face from a spin-off series, became one of the most hated people on social media. His sponsors started cutting ties. A fitness company ended its contract with him within a week. Jasmine's beauty brand also suffered. Stores pulled her products and online orders dropped sharply. Influencer friends began to distance themselves. Then came the biggest hit. A Panamanian TV network aired an investigative piece titled The Double Life of Jasmine Pineda. They interviewed old friends, employees, and even family members. One person said Jasmine always chased comfort over commitment. Another said she's not evil. She's just addicted to being adored. In Michigan, Gino watched everything unfold. His anger grew stronger each day. Friends said he started keeping a notebook, writing down every transaction, message, and gift he had ever given Jasmine. He wasn't just heartbroken anymore. He was preparing for battle. Behind the cameras, Jasmine's life began to fall apart. Paparazzi followed her everywhere. Old friends leaked private photos. Her DMs filled with hate. Matt tried to protect her, but the damage was too deep. What started as a love story had turned into a modern tragedy. And as the world watched her fall, one question echoed everywhere. Was Jasmine the victim of her own mistakes or the mastermind behind them? Gino Palazzolo had always been known as the calm, slightly awkward guy on 90 Day Fiancé, a man who wore his heart on his sleeve and his hat even indoors. But after Jasmine's betrayal, something in him changed. The heartbreak that once consumed him hardened into determination. The sleepless nights, the humiliation, the replay of her words, "I will only marry Matt," became his motivation. Gino was no longer broken. He was on a mission. It started quietly, late nights at his desk, surrounded by papers and a half-empty bottle of bourbon. He began digging through old emails, payment records, and texts, anything to prove Jasmine had taken advantage of him. He discovered wire transfers labeled wedding funds, home deposit, and investment gift. The total was exactly $75,000, money he had sent to Jasmine's Panamanian account over the past year. He remembered every transfer clearly. She told him it was for their shared future, a house in Panama, their business, their wedding. But reading those messages again, the words felt like poison. "Trust me, baby. I'll handle the details. You'll get it back once everything is settled." Those texts, once comforting, now looked like manipulation. Gino started organizing everything by date. He printed receipts, screenshots, and bank records. He bought a black binder and labeled it evidence. His close friend Tony warned him to be careful, but Gino was already too far in. He wasn't just fighting for money. He was fighting to reclaim his dignity. "This could ruin both of you, Gino." "Are you sure?" the lawyer asked. Gino didn't hesitate. "She ruined me first," he said. "Now she'll answer for it." When Gino first met with the lawyer in Detroit, the attorney thought it was just another messy breakup between reality TV stars. But as Gino laid out his evidence, the mood in the room changed. The lawyer leaned forward and said, "Mr. Palazzolo, you may have a case for financial fraud and breach of trust." Those words, breach of trust, stayed in Gino's mind for days. He filed the lawsuit quietly, without warning Jasmine or Matt. But once the court documents became public, the media storm exploded. Headlines everywhere read, "Gino sues Jasmine for $75,000 fraud." Jasmine's reaction was pure anger. She went on social media, calling Gino a bitter ex who couldn't move on. But her outburst only made things worse. Reporters started digging into her past interviews and found inconsistencies. Every new discovery weakened her defense. Meanwhile, Matt was falling apart. His brand deals were disappearing, and his reputation was in ruins. Friends said he looked exhausted, constantly checking his phone, afraid of more leaks. Through it all, Gino stayed calm. For the first time, he felt in control. He refused interviews, ignored the tabloids, and focused on building his case. He wasn't doing it for revenge or sympathy. He wanted justice. Deep down, he knew that once the courtroom lights turned on, Jasmine's carefully built image would collapse. At the center of the lawsuit was one question. Where did the $75,000 go? When the case first reached court, Jasmine's lawyer dismissed it as a dramatic lover's dispute. But as the investigation deepened, that argument fell apart. Gino's evidence wasn't emotional, it was solid. He had bank transfers, wire receipts, and WhatsApp messages, all showing a financial trail Jasmine couldn't erase. A financial analyst appointed by the court described it best. This wasn't impulsive spending. It was structured, planned, and intentional. Each of the 11 transfers Gino made between 2023 and 2024 had vague labels like home investment, joint savings, wedding preparation, and emergency help. Jasmine had acknowledged each one in her text messages. But then came the twist. Investigators discovered that nearly all of the money had been moved again shortly after entering Jasmine's Panamanian account. The destination was a second account under the name of a company no one had heard of, JM Digital Ventures. The initials, the timing, and the registration details left little doubt. The business was listed under Matt Brini's name. When this was revealed in court, the entire room gasped. Even the judge paused and asked Jasmine's lawyer, "Does your client wish to explain this transfer?" Jasmine's face turned pale. She claimed she didn't know about the account and said it must have been a business venture Matt handled for her. But emails later showed she had personally signed one of the authorization forms. In one message, she wrote, "Let's move it before Gino starts asking questions." That one line changed everything. The prosecution argued that Jasmine and Matt had conspired to funnel Gino's money into a fake digital business that never existed. The money, they said, was spent on vacations, luxury stays, and even a down payment on Matt's new car. The evidence was undeniable. Photos from Jasmine's Instagram matched the travel dates on the transaction records. A receipt from a resort in Tulum listed the payment source as JM Digital Ventures. As the puzzle came together, the public's view of Jasmine changed again, from reckless to calculating. Social media exploded. "She used him like a bank," one fan wrote. Another said, "Matt's not a victim. He's her partner in crime." During court breaks, Gino stayed silent, staring straight ahead. The man who once loved Jasmine more than life itself now watched her destroy her own defense, one document at a time. The $75,000 mystery was no longer a mystery. It was proof that Jasmine had built her new life with Matt on lies, proof that the love story she showed the world was paid for with betrayal. And as the court prepared to summon Matt for questioning, the case was about to move from scandalous to criminal. As the court prepared to summon Matt for questioning, tension filled the room. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but reporters crowded the hallway, microphones ready, waiting for the next twist in what had become one of the most shocking reality TV scandals of the year. When Matt finally entered the courtroom, he looked pale and nervous. Gone was the confident influencer who used to post smiling photos beside Jasmine. Now he looked tired, his eyes hollow from sleepless nights and endless headlines. The judge asked him to take the stand. He adjusted his tie, glanced at Jasmine, and avoided her eyes. The prosecution began with simple questions. How long had he known Jasmine? When did their relationship begin? And whether he was aware of the $75,000 Gino had transferred to her. Matt hesitated before answering, choosing his words carefully. He admitted that he knew about some of the money, claiming Jasmine told him it was part of her savings and that Gino had given it to her as a gift, but the prosecution wasn't convinced. They showed him the financial reports, highlighting the transfers from Jasmine's account to JM Digital Ventures. "Mr. Brini's," the prosecutor said, "isn't it true that JM Digital Ventures is registered in your name?" Matt nodded slowly. "Yes, but Jasmine told me it was a joint business idea," he said. "She said she wanted to start a digital brand, and I agreed to help with marketing." The lawyer pressed on. "And what kind of business was this exactly?" Matt hesitated again, fumbling through his papers. "We were still developing the concept," he said. The room was silent except for the sound of papers rustling. Then the prosecutor slid a printed email across the table. "Can you explain this?" he asked. The email was from Jasmine's account, written to Matt just weeks before the transfers began. It read, "Let's move it before Gino starts asking questions. We'll say it's for the project." The color drained from Matt's face. Jasmine looked down, her hands trembling. The judge glanced at her lawyer, who whispered something quickly, but the damage was done. Everyone in the room could feel it. The lie had been exposed. The next few days of the trial were brutal. Witnesses were called one after another, former brand representatives, hotel staff, and even Jasmine's old assistant. One by one, they painted a picture of manipulation and deceit. Jasmine's assistant testified that she had booked multiple trips for Jasmine and Matt using a company credit card tied to JM Digital Ventures. The receipts matched the dates of Gino's bank transfers. Another witness, a financial auditor, explained how the company had no actual clients, no income, and no registered products. It was a shell company, he said plainly. Its only purpose was to move money. Jasmine's defense tried to argue that she had been misled by Matt, that she didn't know he had used her name to set up accounts or manage the funds. But when more messages surfaced showing her involvement, her story began to fall apart. The tone in the courtroom shifted again. Even those who once sympathized with her started to see her not as a victim, but as a willing participant. Outside the courthouse, the media frenzy was relentless. Fans gathered behind barricades, shouting and holding signs. Some still supported Jasmine, calling her a strong woman who made mistakes. Others demanded justice for Gino.